I like it. Love it. Hello, everyone. I'm Marty George. And today is August 9th, 2021. You are watching Local Sports Wrap Up on Wyandotte Cable, Channel 15, and YouTube, if you Googled it. And today I am honored to be joined by my buddy, George Perdue. George, went on vacation last week. How was it?
Good. You know, it's we're in August. We're starting to get back to a little bit of normalcy, and things are starting to wind down a little bit. We went to Pittsburgh last week, which we've done first time though since everything happened with COVID that we were able to go there. So took the kids, went to a couple baseball games, and it was a good time. Saw training camp, which Steelers usually do that in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, home of Arnold Palmer.
There you go.
But they did it at Heinz Field, which was a little bit different. I'd been to Latrobe before. It was cool. They have a college campus there, a small little college that they go to. So it was cool still seeing it, but going those little, when teams actually have to live in dorms and do that type of stuff, to me that seems like it's real training camp, not like what a lot of teams do today. But it was a good time. Pirates aren't doing too well, but it was PNC Park is an awesome venue to see a baseball game if you've never been there. And now back home getting ready for we're just talking about everything's kind of starting back up again. So
when do you report for school?
So we
as a teacher.
Yeah, so we're doing our first official day is a full day on the 26th of August, and then we actually have kids for 3 days before Labor Day. So we decided on that. There's a few
schools. How
schools.
do kids like that there, George?
It was kind of the trade-off was if we do that early, then we get out earlier, like June 10th. Things are kind of different this year. Like this is the year. Like I hate on the calendar because like Labor Day is so late. So if we wouldn't have started back to like September 8th. The Christmas season now we come back January 3rd because of how that works out. With sports kind of starting back up, I think kids are in that mold, I think, anyways. But yeah, I mean, we'll see about the normalcy of how things are going to be, though, too.
Yeah, everybody get vaccinated. Okay, quit making it a political issue. Back in the 1940s when there was a war, everybody sacrificed for that war. Now to get somebody to, do anything, you're infringing upon their rights. Okay, just get vaccinated, and then we all can get back to normal.
Hopefully.
Soon the kids can do it, and it'll be all right. Any ties to that Pittsburgh thing? You just like Pittsburgh?
For me,
you grew up there?
No, I mean, I was always a big Pittsburgh sports fan. Found out much later on my great-grandfather did settle outside of Pittsburgh in the steel mills, and then eventually ended up in Ecorse. But I knew that was after I became a fan. But just always liked the teams.
It's a great town.
Love the town. If people haven't been there, it's not like the steel towns that people think of back in the 70s. There's a lot of fun stuff to do in the city. And anybody I've ever sent that way has never been disappointed. So
no.
And it's only 4 hours.
Closer. I took engineer school out there for 7 weeks. And when I used to drive a locomotive for a living. And the way the stadiums and all three sports teams are right there by the river.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I saw a lot of Penguins games while I was there because it was that time of year, and I had a blast. Yeah. I explored the whole town on my downtime, but if you don't pass engineer school, they fire you, so you really have to pay attention. Yeah. All right, let's get to sports. Let's talk about our Little League World Series team coming out of Taylor, okay? First of all, when they left, I did a little bit last week, but in Michigan, when they dominated and won the state, they outscored their teams 50-7. So they started the game and they play Wisconsin right out the gate down there in Indiana, and they slapped them 10-0 in the opening round. It was a 5-inning game. They got their 10th run in the 5th inning, and that was it for Wisconsin. And currently, they're playing Indiana. Today is Monday, and if they win this game, they don't play till Thursday, but they are winning 5-1 in the bottom of the 5th, and Indiana is batting in the bottom of the 5th. I don't know how I can get you updates as the show goes on, but I want to say go Taylor. They obviously have some stud kids on that team.
Yeah, we were talking before we went on the air. One of my neighbors knows one of the kids. Their son grew up with a couple of them. They've been cheering him on, and it's kind of cool to see that. I think it was like ESPN Plus or one of them is showing the games. So it's kind of cool to see some of those local teams. Michigan has had a pretty good representation in the last few years of sending some of those teams to the Little League World Series. There was a team, I think, from like Grosse Pointe that made it a few years back. So, even though I don't think we've talked in the past, I don't think that, baseball has as many kids as maybe we like 20, 30 years ago. But the kids that are playing, have done very well in the area, have gone out to do different things. I mean, you saw that kid from Trenton that got drafted, this past year. So, and it starts. I mean, baseball is the one that kids can start playing at 5, 6 years old. And
Coach Pitch.
Yeah, and
been there, done that.
And you're seeing these 11 and 12-year-olds that are dominating right now. So, like I said, good luck for them, and hopefully that they advance on and we can see them in Williamsport here, or in Williamsport.
Yeah, since there's no European teams coming from across the pond there, that they'll be able to take the top 2 out of each region, and it's double elimination. So if something were to happen bad and they lose a game, they'll still be able to compete till the end. They combined Taylor North Central, Taylor North, and not the South though, Taylor Northeast. So that gave them a pool to pick from.
Yeah.
I remember back in '72, our all-star team lost to that Taylor team, the Taylor Northeast team, and they ended up winning the state title back in '72 when I was just an 11 or 12-year-old. Yes, no responsibilities.
Yeah, and it's a little bit. That's when we used to fight, right, for going to baseball fields and actually playing there, as kids. And I was having a conversation. We've talked about this before too, and it doesn't happen as much today, but. But these kids are also doing it year-round too. It seems like a lot of these kids, it's not just a summertime thing. I mean, you're getting indoor batting cages, you're getting kids that are participating all year long, and it just kind of goes that same mold of what you're seeing with a lot of sports.
Yeah, and I hate that they specialize at such a young age. They should play all the sports. They should play everything, give it a whirl, and then as they get into their high school years, they can specialize if they want. We'll see. We wish them the best. I hope we can get Doug on here, the president of the league, and get him out here to brag about his team. He says they go to Pennsylvania, come, as they say, heck or high water. He's going.
Yeah.
He runs a business, Goddard Auto. He don't have time to be going over there.
Right.
But, good luck, Taylor. We hope you guys dominate through the rest of the way. Right now, they've outscored the other teams 15-1, so they're not doing too bad. Let's talk golf. Why not? My host, of course, TPC of Michigan, hosted the amateur, the 15 and under and the 12 and under. No, was that how it went? But no, it was 18U and 15U.
Yep.
That's what it was. And back-to-back winner now, PJ Maybank III. He's from Sheboygan. Obviously must be a country club kid. That's he gets to practice a lot. But he won. He beat Justin Sue of Lake Orion 3-2 in the final match. And what they do is they play a couple rounds, and then they take the top 32 and they match play it. The tournament ran 3 days, so they played a lot of golf in 3 days, and shut the course down for 3 days. And it's pretty, kids obviously, I guess we'll be reading about him. You might want to save that name, PJ Maybank III. And if you can catch him in high school, you kids at Sheboygan, and get his autograph someday, it might be worth something.
Yeah, and the fact that he repeated too, is pretty remarkable. I mean, it's tough for any kid, especially individual-wise, to be able to go back and and compete. And you see that happen in a lot of those individual sports like wrestling and some of these other ones where it's just really tough to get back to doing that again, and especially golf, because golf is so mental that for him to be able to do that is a pretty remarkable feat. So you hope that what is he as far as age-wise goes. I don't know if this is his last chance to be able to play this, but it's a pretty cool milestone for him.
Well, he's 16. What I'm interested in, they also crowned a 15 and under champ, Max Vandermolen of Richland, he's 13.
Yeah.
And he beat Connor Fox of Lake Orion. What I'm interested in is, they have the USGA amateur for the 18U and the 15U, and Tiger won all 6 of those.
Yeah.
Okay. So did Jack Nicklaus, by the way. He counts them as a major championship. Jack does, even though he only has 18. Yeah, so it'd be interesting, like where he fares in an event like that, because he's gone to them, and we haven't read about him winning there. But man, as my golf buddy used to say, that was a PGA professional, and he beat his way around the tour a little bit. You think you're good, there's always someone out there better.
That's true. And when you get past usually the state level and you start competing, nationally for things, that's when you definitely see, the real kind of competition come out. And it's like when we were watching some of the stuff too, in like the Olympics and the qualifying and some of those things that happened over this summer. You take it to a new level when every time you go up, you're definitely going to see better competition. So,
yeah, I can't wait to read up on where the kid is at the USGA. Where should we go next? You got some All-State, News Herald came out with their track.
Yep, and I got the tennis one.
Tennis. I did track last week.
We're going to talk about. I mean, this is the summertime's usually when they start talking. They start doing the all-state stuff for the sports that happen in the spring, and the girls had an excellent. The Roosevelt girls had a great season this past year, and earned some all News Herald honors. Reese Blackledge was the #1 singles for the girls. She earned all News Herald honors. Excellent student. I had her in class this past year. Great kid. Emma Johnson was a senior, came up as the #3 singles. She also received all News Herald honors. Jackie Moreno, only a freshman, was #4 singles. She earned that. And then the doubles team of Brooklyn Liscombe and Emily McCloskey, which I had both of them as well. Both juniors, they were the #2 doubles for Roosevelt. And, very well represented. Tennis and the boys are starting up now in the fall, and they had a really great season. And the programs that Roosevelt has had in the past few years has definitely lent well to the tennis program and some success that they've been having. So, and then also there was a Richard girl as well, Kaylee Newbecker, who was #1 singles for Gabriel Richard. So, tennis, and that's another one of those things too that kind of has like about an 8-month window because a lot of those, you get a lot of it now in the fall, you get it back in the spring. But congratulations to all those kids that made it for Roosevelt and for Richard.
Yeah, and a couple of underclassmen, so they'll be coming back. That seems good.
Yeah, Reese is only a junior. The doubles are both juniors, and of course Jackie's only a freshman. So yeah, so really. A lot of kids coming back on that girls team for next year. I know the boys had a lot of kids coming back too. They were pretty young for the tennis team, and so I know they're getting started today, like everybody else is for fall season.
Yeah, and I could say that's same for the bowling. That a lot of kids are coming back on the boys' side. Girls' side, only 3.
And that's and like anything, that's where the kids that have hopefully watched from those older kids, kind of move up, and you kind of see that happen in a lot of things too. It's just, you've got a couple months until that gets going.
I ran into Ronnie at the street fair in Allen Park there, and he came right up and said, we're going to start early like we did before. And I'm like, yeah, get me some girls.
Yeah.
Your job too, George.
Yeah,
You're a teacher.
Yeah, I have no problem getting the word out,
Yeah.
So
Get me some bodies. I'll teach them how to bowl. I had a guy donate about 15 bowling balls too, so I can fit them with equipment. Softball, not so much with the News Herald team. We only had one Roosevelt girl, Katrina Caldwell. And she hit 446 for the season. That's pretty good. And she had 17 RBIs, scored 38 runs, had 18 walks, 17 stolen bases. Doesn't see any bombs, but she was the starting catcher, which was a new position she learned this year. So, good for her. She's a junior. She'll get one more year of this. And hopefully they can give her some support. Allen Park, on the other hand, they dominated. They were runner-up in the States. They lost 5-0 in the championship game. And, they had 3 or 4 people. Molly Houle, sophomore. She was one of the girls. Mia Houle, also a sophomore. So those 2 girls were solid. Obviously, Dad taught them how to hit. Or maybe Mom. I shouldn't say that because maybe Mom. Avery Garden, she's a freshman. She made the team, and I thought I saw one more. Nope, that was it. So those 3 are coming back. In fact, they're only losing a couple seniors on that state runner-up team. So as long as they can keep their pitching together and they're hitting timely, they've always, I mean, they've won, 15 straight league titles. That's an impressive record, to say the least.
Reminds me of some of those Trenton-dominated teams that they had for a long time in softball as well. It kind of, when you got it going and people buy into it, that's when you see the success. So
yeah, and a lot of it comes from their little league programs too. They get these kids started young. I firmly believe travel baseball is overrated. It's not overrated as much as watered down. Now, there are elite programs. There are elite programs that they only want your kid doing that year-round, and those teams are successful. They go to the travel tournaments. We went to the travel tournaments as house teams, and a lot of times got slapped silly. Yeah. But it was good for them to learn the way the other teams functioned strategically. Right. The way they hit the cutoff man, the way they don't, they did everything. When they bunt, they bunt a lot. In the travel game, they bunt a lot. And well, heck, look at the Olympic game. I watched a couple of the Olympic games. In the volleyball, one thing we don't see at this area is men's volleyball.
Right.
You don't see long volleys in men's volleyball because they can sky over that net. And the net, I learned from Julia, is 6 inches higher than the ladies.
Okay.
But the guys just get up there and sky right over it and pound the ball. So you don't see the long rallies that you see.
Right.
But the men's game, it like flick, and then you run across men's volleyball. I got frozen on that.
Yeah.
It was impressive stuff. We got football coming up. We are in August 9th, and believe it or not, the first game for our beloved Wyandotte Bears is August 27th. And we're going to take on Allen Park right out the gate. It's a home game, though. That might help. It'll be interesting to see. You got to replace the quarterback.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing, because not only my nephew is playing, but I had a chance to watch some of the 7-on-7 stuff over the summer. So that was all gone last year because of COVID. So they brought 7-on-7 back and saw them go up against Lincoln Park, saw them go up against Riverview, saw them go up against Monroe.
And these are all just like touch fight.
Yeah, it's just all
games.
Basically like like a center quarterback, and then you've got your receivers, tight end, running back. So it's just basically like, but you'll have a defense out there too that will go up against it.
Do they tackle?
No tackle. Usually it's touch. But going into, and today was the first day, so today was the first official day of practice. They were doubles start, and everybody's different.
I love doubles.
They are going from 2 until 9, so that is their time for doubles. So they're doing it this week. They have a Saturday scrimmage, and then next week, and then they're 4 ways on Thursday. And they, going into this summer, you thought Donovan Canterbury was going to be the kid that was going to be the quarterback, but
next in line.
He has decided not to play football. He is a baseball player as well, and we've talked about him numerous times. And he talked to the team. He was participating, and he's still around the team, but with a chance to possibly get drafted next spring. And he has a full ride already. That he is not going to be playing football. So now it's kind of there's a couple of younger kids that have some competition in there. So I did watch some of the 7-on-7 stuff, and Coach Adams, that's the one thing too. You talk about like success. I mean, he's never had a losing record in all the years. He's been here 15 years coaching football and has never had a losing record, which is pretty remarkable.
I'll say this, I believe, because even in the Wilson games, they're all running the same program.
Yeah.
They are all on the same page. The one thing I think our hockey team fails is that they really don't have a JV program, and so all these kids learn from the different house coaches they have or travel coaches they have, and then they come to, it would have been like Quint's program or Quint's method, and they've got to learn it all over again. And sometimes it's a slow start like last season. Football, when your top guy in high school can control what they're running and what their codes and their schemes, and when he can do that, which he does, I feel he's got a huge advantage.
Yeah, and I think that's and there's a lot of, and speaking of that, the Wilson program, there's a lot of turnover with that this year. They have all new coaches. I don't think any of the coaches that coached Wilson. He had a retirement. Rich Glodowski, who's been coaching for years, retired. Mark Thorington stepped away from coaching. A couple other ones are not coaching as well. So there's only one. I think Zach Zolchek, who's a teacher at Wilson, is the only returning coach for Wilson. So, but they were also at all the high school workouts over the summer.
They were.
So they were.
They
So they always, and that's the one thing that they do is they'll try to get a lot of those schools on the same page from the middle school, on up. Numbers is becoming an issue, which it never really was, but a lot of schools have been dropping freshman programs, and so you really don't know until you get the kids out what are you going to have. So I haven't heard anything yet as of right now. There's freshman, JV, varsity, but Allen Park out of the gate's going to be a tough game. I mean, Allen Park's been great for a number of years. Having them at home, like you said, and then going on the road all the way out to Waterford Mott,
yeah.
Which is a hike.
That's the one, non-league game that they have to schedule.
And keep in mind, this year is different. We talked about that back in the spring. Is that it's no more 6 wins and you're in. That's done. So it's now the point system, which was around for years, which around this area hurt teams because only a few would get in every year. The 6 wins helped a lot of teams out. You get 3 or 4 downriver teams. Now it might only be 2, depending on on how it works out. And it's a complicated. It's one of those systems you don't know until you see the numbers.
Just keep winning. There won't be any issues whatsoever.
Win, but you'll see an 8-1 team that would have less points than a 5-4, depending on if they played tougher opponents.
The teams that beat them won a lot of games.
Right, and that's the thing to keep in mind with that. So, but I know Coach Adams will have the team ready to go, and we're back at it again.
You mentioned something earlier which I'm interested in, and you said there's 4 ways on the weekend. What?
So there's a 4-way. There's always a 4-way in within those first 2 weeks. So what happens next Thursday? And it's an all-day thing because they'll start freshmen at noon, and basically you're going against another school. Usually it's school you don't play.
Oh, okay.
Like Plymouth Canton always would come in, but it's full on.
Helmets and pads.
Helmets, pads. It's almost like a simulation, like a preseason.
So what? They play like a quarter though.
Like a certain amount of plays, like 20 plays offense, 20 plays defense,
okay.
Or up to a certain amount of time. Usually it's half an hour for offense, half an hour for defense, and they flip, and you'll usually just play half the field. So I used to go and film those when they would do it, and it would take 2.5 hours for varsity to do their 4-way. But that's kind of like their preseason. So they always do that the Thursday before their first game.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't do it last year because of COVID.
Right.
But this year, I got to see who's coming in for it. But usually Plymouth Canton, Monroe, usually get some teams that you don't usually see, but ones that are going to give you a good,
Gotcha.
good look.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
So it goes Allen Park, Waterford Mott, Southgate Taylor, Gibraltar Carlson, Lincoln Park, Woodhaven, Edsel Ford, and Trenton. And then for Gabriel Richard football, they start out with Grosville, then they play Clinton, Detroit University Prep, Ann Arbor, Gabriel Richard, Bishop Foley, Macomb Lutheran North, and then they're at Bloomfield Hills, Cranbrook, Kingswood. That will be a hard game. Those two words combined, Bloomfield Hills and Cranbrook. That just means solid.
Yeah, and new coaches for Richard this year too. So we'll kind of see how that works out too. And some schools are getting turf and some new stuff going on. And so once we kind of get rolling, and I just want to make one mention where we're still on the topic of football because I know a lot of people saw this on Facebook, but former Bears varsity coach Hank Klebick, who I actually started coaching with when I first started, passed away a week ago. He was living in Florida. He coached was a teacher for 30 years, coached football, but he passed away last week. So just want to make mention that. I believe he was 71, 72 years old, but he's probably known for the biggest upset ever in Wyandotte Bears history. Back in the 80s, they were like a 3-4 team, went down to Monroe. Monroe was ranked number 1 in the state, and they beat them. And the newspaper is sitting in Roosevelt, like they bronzed it and whatever, and they put it in. So,
nice.
But Hank was a great guy. Coached with him for a number of years at the middle school. He did that toward the end of his career, but big loss for downriver, football-wise, coaches-wise. Hank was a great guy, so.
Yeah, well, we're sorry with his family. We give our regrets. Wyandotte soccer, the boys, they play the same time the football plays. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and they have to share. I mean, they kind of do things different times. So I think now with, they might be practicing in the mornings, but yeah, they will go at the same time when or come in after football for practices.
They're starting on August 24th. They're starting ahead of everybody else with Carleton Airport, and then they don't play again for about a week and a half. They play Edsel Ford on the 1st. And then you got another week and a half, 12 days because of the holiday and everything else. Woodhaven, Taylor Prep, and Allen Park is all we have for the 5 games that they're going to get them going. Boys tennis starts on the 25th.
Yep. Swimming started last night with a all-night like at the high school where they now have practice as well. So yeah, so that was so swimming started as well. I actually talked to Sue Alt, who coaches the swim team, talked to her as well. So, but I just want to make one plug here too that schedule-wise, August 28th, the Wyandotte Stars baseball will have their annual home classic. It's going to be televised. So
yeah,
we're going to televise.
Watch Channel 15. We've been harping that one. That game's going to last 7.5 hours, but it'll be good television.
Yes.
No, really, they played it in the old days. It was way different. It was a polite game. From what I understand, and these guys that play now, no mitts.
Yeah.
They smack that hard ball, and these guys reach out and catch it. No.
Yeah.
I work for a living. I can't do it anymore. Don't forget to get a hold of us at localsportswrapup@gmail.com. I actually got 2 emails last week. We have a new parent that's in town with the soccer. She loves the show.
Good.
I did it by myself, so she had to love it, I learned that there's more people in my head than I thought. My brain was going everywhere trying to do this, but if I ever have to do it again by myself, the format's going to change. I'll just say that out loud. You can get us at YouTube. Any past show you want to watch, just go YouTube, Local Sports Wrap Up. There's easily 100 shows on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
And subscribe to us. Get us some subscribers, and maybe we'll get some of that YouTube money. We only need about 100,000 of them. So all you people out there, don't be afraid to subscribe to our show. They don't come after you with texts and all that stuff. It's just a simple subscription. I'm Marty George. Glad you could show up.
Thanks.
Ken is going to make it next week. He had to work late. His coaching is over. And we will do this all again next week. I'm Marty Chinesky. Mr. George Perdue is here to my left. And next week we'll stick Ken in the middle, or I'll be in the middle. Who knows? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. And go Taylor Little League. Let's get